Hello folks, right now you're looking at my Windows desktop with a bunch of things open. What I'm doing right now is compiling the course and plugins pack here. It will have the sample packs for it, and it also has the plugins, and it comes to just under 3 gigabytes actually of stuff for you. But I want to tell you where to put them, which is something you either have to figure out on your own or you can have a very handy lesson from me. So these are all 32-bit plugins. If you know about the difference between 32-bit and 64-bit in programs, it's just the amount of memory you can handle. So 32-bit is still relevant, especially for VSTs. But yeah, these are all 32-bit. It's better if they're 64-bit if you have a 64 system, but it still works just fine. So what you have to do for 32-bit plugins, and it even finds 64-bit plugins in this folder, but you go to Program Files, and then you got to go to Steinberg VST plugins. Seems a bit random, but Steinberg made VST plugins folder. So yeah. Anyway, what you do, you get DLL.dll. It's application extension, right? And this just runs as its own thing, right? Some of them need a picture to be with them. This is the interface for Dillset. But others, most can just kind of be plopped in. They have a picture contained within the code. So what you do is you just click and drag into here. But there's another place too. You can either put it in VST plugins here, or there's another folder here, Steinberg VST plugins, 64-bit plugins. And these usually contain like first-party sort of software, like iZotope things and FL Studio, whatever, like in-house VSTs. In-house VSTs or purchase VSTs often automatically install into folders like VST plugins in 64-bit program files or in 32-bit program files. That's what x86 means. x86 is like the instruction code name. It just means 32-bit. And then if it doesn't have that and you're on a 64-bit system, that is 64-bit. If you're on a 32-bit system, you won't have this x86 there. In fact, you'll only have one program files folder. So that's how you can definitively tell if you're on 64-bit or 32-bit. But in the end, it doesn't really matter. And if you're using mostly 32-bit plugins, you should probably run the 32-bit mode even if you're on a 64-bit system. In a perfect world, everything would be 64-bit because 32-bit systems can only use up to 4 gigabytes of RAM, but actually maybe even less. But 64 gigabyte programs can use a lot, something like 32,000 gigabytes of RAM, which I don't know if we're going to ever reach that level of RAM needed. Well, maybe someday, 100 years later, but definitely future-proof for sure. But that aside, that's that. I'm sure some people didn't know about that. But yes, Steinberg VST plugins is the easiest place to put it. But we also have to journey into ImageLine. So ImageLine in 32-bit is just going to be FL Studio 11. And I just have all the other stuff I have. I used to use FL Studio 11 mainly. And then until FL Studio 12 came out. And that is in the 64-bit program files. But if you just installed FL Studio for the first time and it's 12, and you're on a 32-bit, and there's only one, then it's going to be in 32-bit, underneath ImageLine, which is the company. Click that. Got FL Studio 12.1 here. And you got the other folders you can just ignore. Double click. And this is why, like, there should be like a guide when you first start up the program because it's quite complicated. But yeah, you get into here, then you go to plugins and then VST. So VSTs is where all the plugins go. I just put them in Steinberg, and I actually had to take them out of here in order to fix the problem I had for a little bit. But you just click and drag that into here, and then FL Studio 12 can find it. As for sample packs, you got to go into Data, Patches, Packs. What you have to do is drop a folder into here. So if you have a folder over here, let's say this is the folder. Oops. Say this is the folder. Then you just drop it in here, and it will instantly appear within the program for you to use. So if you open this up, you got these. Each of these play a sound. See? I like this one because it has just a bunch of weird sounds that always kind of enhance songs. Just like that, right? So that's what these all are. They're just WAV files, which are uncompressed audio. And they're things you can just click and drag into your project. So that's what packs are. But always refer back to this. Remember, it's data, patches, packs. But what if you want to find your programs? Like your projects, I mean. This is the default folder here. Right underneath patches in data, you got project. And projects is where all your stuff is. So I always give things weird names. And you can go ahead and do that too if you want. But when you export things, they tend to default to here. I like to put them in different folders, but it always defaults to projects. And the first time I ever used FL Studio, I remember I didn't know where this was, you know. It's not in any sort of easy place. Like I'd expect a company like this to put it in my documents or something, but it doesn't create any folder there. You actually got to go into the system and then find it here. So these are where the projects are. Once you know where that is, you can find them easily anytime. But if you double click one of these, it will open up the project in FL Studio, right? And yeah, you can create any folders you like. Just keep it organized, I guess. Or not, whatever you feel comfortable with. Like I'm not too comfortable with too much organization. I like it to be a little bit messy. Just keeps the creativity flowing. But yeah, that's what you do with these. Just anything that's in the plugins pack should be here. I cleaned it up. I'm going to put it in a zip folder to make it smaller. Anything that's in there, unzip them. By that you just double click as long as you have WinRAR. But these are all zip files, and most programs just automatically deal with zip files, right? So most operating systems, I mean, like Mac and Windows both have their own unzipping utility. Just not unRARing. This is WinRAR. Oops. So that's that, pretty much. Those are plugins. And now you know how to install them. But, how do you use them once you're in the software? So let's open up FL Studio 12. Yes, run it on this computer, please. Let's open it up and let me give you a gander. Usually they'd be in this plugin database, right? And they are, I guess. But I had an issue, not a super common issue, but the issue was that every time I tried to put an effects plugin, every time I tried to put an effects plugin into the mixer, like this, and then let's say this, distortion, this wouldn't load. It would say, oops, can't load it. You put it in the channel mixer, and it would put it here. And I obviously didn't. There's no rhyme or reason why it would do that, but computers, you know, they do that. So that's how you add it there anyway. That was my problem, so I had to delete plugin database in my file system, and now I have to restructure it. But for now, I just have a big list. But yeah, in this list, after you've scanned for them, you'll find them, and you'll find the brand as well. And this is Variety of Sound, which makes all my very favorite free plugins. Very, very good free plugins. In fact, Density Mark III is probably one of the best compression plugins I've ever used. It's anyone that uses it loves it. It's used on a lot of very, very major productions to make the sound very big and then glued together and strong, you know. So you ever listen to a song and it just sounds like everything's just so big. Like you hear a drum and it's not just in one little space, it's big, you know? I don't know how to explain it. It's just big. This has presets and the ability to make things sound really, really big. And that is obviously a really, really big plus for any type of modern music, or any music in general. So Density Mark III, very good. So, but how you get these all in here is you got to go to Manage Plugins. So you can get through there in different ways. You can go into File Settings, I believe. Yep, File Settings, Manage Plugins. This will just give you information about it. It's a good read. And then you get this big thing. And before you actually start scan and verify plugins, you're not really going to see anything special here. You're not going to know what you're seeing, right? And your program is not going to know about any new plugins. It's just not going to know, right? So what you got to do, I always leave this open, rescan previously verified plugins just in case there's any issues. It'll rescan anything and resort them, right? But verify plugins, right? Always verify. That sorts them into effects and generators, which is very important. And then you hit start scan. Always do this. It will scroll through all the folders you have set up to find things, right? When I was trying to fix the problem, I put this. I decided to make it look into the plugin database, right? Plugin database doesn't actually hold the plugins though. It holds shortcuts to the plugins, and that was the root of the problem. So I had to just delete it. So anyway, that's why that's there. If it's blue, it means you added it. So yep, this is all the folders it checks for different types of VSTs and stuff. It verifies them. It's like scans them and can tell what they actually are, who made them, you know, how many bits there are. These are 64, these are 32, right? And then it tells them if there's a synth or an effect, a generator or effect. And after you've done that, close that up, say okay, close that up, and you can just add whatever you want anywhere. So here, if you had my same problem, you just have this. And yeah, find the one you need. These are all my synthesizers, and then the effects would be over here. Totally different set of things. Now, if you never had the problem, when you open this up, like let's say replace, you won't have more plugins. You'll have a big menu here that's all based on the plugin database with different categories and everything. And I really hope that it works perfectly fine for you, and it probably will. But if people have enough of a problem, you just gotta find your plugin database here. So I'll go over how to fix this problem now. I just really hope no one has it. Oop, that was wrong. Okay, here. So it should be in, I think it was in system. I think. It's because I deleted it, right? I had to get rid of it. So it's not in VST, it's not in any of these. It's in one of these folders. Trust me, it is. Maybe patches something, because it's not here anymore for me. Because I just, oh, here it is. Yeah, it regenerated it. There's plugin database. If you have any issues with effects plugins being loaded instantly into channels, right click, delete. Seems a bit weird, but you just have to right click and delete. All the plugin things I showed you there will work just fine. You'll just get a different menu. It will cause some problems because you don't have, like, you can't eliminate plugins that you add. There might be a way, but not easy anyway. So I'd say find a way to restructure it once you're done. I kind of fancy this menu though, so I'll leave it for a bit, but I'll eventually restructure it. So hopefully that helps anyone before they have to ask me that, you know. So let's just have some faith in FL Studio that will work for other people. So it was frustrating in the past, but it's all good now. I love FL Studio 12. Very, 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 very good software. But anyway, that's that. And that's what I wanted to show you. In the first few lectures, it shows you exactly how to add. It has the download to the packs and the plugins, and then this will show you how to install them, obviously. All right. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, anything, people. Cheers.